Okay, this video is going to show you how to create and hollow out a mesh file of a cameo. Okay, the mesh is the file created by Matrix Art, the program that allows you to raise up bitmaps. And here's the back side of this cameo, and there's a thickness that we've assigned, about 0.75 millimeters, but you can make it however thick you want. And here's the top side, and it was created from this picture. And I'll just walk you through really briefly how the cameo was created and how we offset the mesh. These are our little files that save things down here. They're called job bags, and they're really handy because you can just put anything in there at any time, and it's saved for next time. All right. To begin with, it's very easy to place a picture out here in the viewports. I'll just delete it for you and reposition it so you can see how it's placed. Using the picture frame tool, we go into the program and choose this cameo picture. And actually, this is included with the program. It's just a sample image, so we use these in class as demo files. And if you have Matrix, you can go in here and find them and practice yourself with these tutorials. So in Desktop, My Documents, Matrix 6, Demos, Pictures, and Art, you will find the Cameo 2 image. And I'm just going to place it right where I had it before so we can move along quickly in this tutorial. But you'll place it out there anywhere. Okay, it has to be in this looking down viewport, but that's easy. The next thing you'll do is go ahead and trace this with a curve. And I choose the orange cutting layer ahead of time, so the curve will come out orange. Click on the rectangle tool, and it's really easy to snap to the edge of this piece. It tells you when you're on the end of the picture. Okay, the next thing I did was to create this yellow curve, all right? And I'm going to hide it really quickly so you can see how I create it, but I'm not going to go through and create the whole thing again because it's kind of time consuming. You just go through and trace all the way around the image. It just takes a little time. In fact, we teach you how to do this on the first day of class, so it's really not that bad. And trace all the way around an image with, it's called an interp curve. It's just a nice smooth shape. And when you're done, you'll get something like this. And you just want to join it all up so that there's no openings. So as you can see, there's no openings. And when we select the curve, we get the whole thing. It's like a circle. It's like a closed curve or a closed loop. Okay. So that's also very easy to do. Just trace around the shape that you want. So this is the only section of the cameo that's going to get raised up and created as our file. Now we go into Matrix Art. And I'm going to take this menu and drag it over so you can see it in our video here. The video is a little smaller than the screen. So there it is. And we select the outside curve and the inside curve there. And we put them both into the curves menu in Matrix Art. And if you wait a minute, then the file will appear. So this is the stuff that it's going to be made of. This is a preview of the mesh file we're going to have when we're done. Okay, and right now it's letting you assign the shapes. So to begin with, in the orange curve, we're going to just assign this flat shape. Hang on while I click a few things. Okay, we're just going to assign this flat shape to the orange curve. And for the yellow curve, we're going to assign this nice domed shape. And the way you assign a shape is by clicking Load Profile. And right down here, there's an array of shapes, or you can make your own. And we'll click Dome 1. And then in this window, you can kind of tweak it and see if it's really the dome shape you want. Okay, so if it's not exactly right, you can tweak it, make it softer. You can make it a little flatter on the top. Okay, you have all these options to edit that shape. So once you have about the shape that you want, you're going to go into the next menu, which is called Picture. And this is going to let you assign the picture to this mesh. Okay. Right here we have current layer. We need to set that to orange. So we're using the orange curve color to place the picture on. And we go to the Load Bitmap tool and go out and find that exact same picture. Again, it's called Cameo 2, and we hit open. And you wait just a minute for it to load. It takes a minute because my computer's also thinking about making a video. And when it comes in to this shape, you can see it comes out here on the mesh. I'm just going to go ahead and click Fill Shape. As you can see, this picture is much bigger than the little rectangle that I drew out here in my viewports. So Fill Shape will shrink it down to the correct size. Okay, and now as you can see, we have all this background stuff that we don't really want. All we want is the shape of the cameo person. Okay, so back in the layer menu, we're going to go to the orange color and simply click there. And as you can see, it toggles through the settings at the top here. And we want the trim setting so that the yellow curve trims away all the parts of the orange surface that we don't want. So we're only going to get a final file in the shape of the person. Okay. Once we're ready with that, we can go into the effects menu and see some of the things that this tool can do, this matrix art interface here. So we can blur the image and see how blurry we might want her. Okay, we can also, once we've blurred it, if we like the details in the face, the hair, but everything in here we want to be a little bit smoother. If you notice, when I have my cursor out over the mesh, I get this little black tool. That's going to allow me to select the parts of the mesh that I want to either brighten or blur. So it's like painting on these effects. So we're going to simply click and drag this tool, and we can change the size of it, make it much larger, and select all around the parts that we want. Okay, and we can kind of clean up some of that noise in the skin there. Okay, and as you click and drag, you don't see any change happening yet, but when you go to the blur button here, you can raise how blurry you want this to be. So if we lower it, we get much the same noise we had before, but as we raise the blur size, we can kind of quiet down all that chatter that we had in the original bitmap and make our skin look more smooth. Now you'd be surprised, you really don't want to get too close to the facial features and stuff because if you do them too smooth, it really comes out looking kind of inhuman. So you want, we're kind of lumpy people, so you do want to leave more of the detail for the face and stuff in there than you would expect. Same thing for the hands down here. And notice now as we're painting, it's listening to this setting because we've got it all set up. So we can paint on the blur as we go. That's kind of a neat feature. You can do it both ways. Select it beforehand and then adjust it, or get it set to where you want it and then paint it on. And as you continue to work, you can continue to raise or lower that blur. And when you think you like it, you hit Apply Effect. And after Apply Effect, you hit Clear Selection, and all the pink is gone, and you can see the way it's going to look in the final piece. Okay, back here in the picture menu, you can also change the bitmap height if you want some of these details to be taller, and that way the mill can get in there and really cut everything out. So it just depends on how tall you need the texture to be based on how you're creating this piece, and every piece is a little different, so it takes a little experimenting with matrix art. I'm not sure if you know how this tool is actually working, but all of the light parts of the picture are creating the high parts of the mesh, and all the dark parts of the picture are creating the low parts of the mesh. So when we turn it back on, you can see the dark shadows in her robe are causing this to go down lower and creating the texture for our bitmap, for our final model. So the bitmap is creating the texture for the final model. It's pretty exciting that it can do this. Okay, and once you've tweaked all the results, you can click on Create Mesh, and if you wait just a minute, it'll go ahead and create the file for you. And when we shade it up, we can really see how that's going to look when it's milled. And in fact, if there's anything you want to change about it at this point, you can simply select this mesh and either hide it or delete it. Turn back on the preview and continue working. All your settings are saved. Just don't close out of the builder until you're certain you're done. Okay, but we can turn this off, bring back our mesh, and get to work on the hollowing art part. Oh, I want to show you one last thing. Before we created that, notice that our cap setting was turned off. If we wanted to create it with a solid back, we would leave that on and create it with a solid back. But we want it uncapped so we can hollow out the part. Okay, now we're ready to close out of matrix art. Let's shade it up because we can see it much better that way. And if you flip it over, excuse me, and turn off our little picture there, you'll be able to see that it's hollowed out in the back, but it's only a single point object thick. Okay, this is a really tiny, teeny tiny thing, and the mill would just mill right through it from either side. So it's like geometry. A point or a line has no true volume, right? It's just a representation. So we want to give her some thickness. And this is done in our mesh menu with the offset mesh tool, and it's going to allow you to give it whatever thickness you assign. So it's asking for the mesh to offset. That's this. Press enter when done. I press enter. The offset distance is anything you set right here. This is in millimeters, and as you can see, it's giving you a preview. Let's look at all 4 views, and the preview is showing you that it's going to offset to the inside. So that's perfect. Also choose the solidify option, and it'll give you thickness between the 2 pieces. So you assign how fat you want it in this region right here. So we can make this 1 millimeter, and it's going to offset that into the inside. Oops. Okay, and once you press enter, it's all finished. It's a really quick process. We can flip her over and see how the inside looks. There's your 1 millimeter thickness. There's the inside of the mesh. And the mill's just going to follow what it can. It's going to make this kind of lumpy in there, but that's fine. She got a little chubby on this side. Okay, and there's the top. So it will be a hollow mesh when you're done. I'm just going to go ahead and turn our picture back on, and you can kind of compare. I just wanted to point out that this picture wasn't doctored ahead of time. This is just as we got it. We probably saved it off of Google or some other site with free clip art and stuff. And even an undoctored picture can make a really nice mesh in the end because of all the tools that we have to crop out the parts of it we don't want, to make brighter and more blurry the parts of it that need to be smoothed or raised up. And just the concept is pretty simple. It's just the light parts of the model, of the bitmap, that are making the tall parts of the model, and it's the dark parts of the bitmap that are making the low parts of the model, and in that way we get all the texture from the bitmap applied into the final model. If you have any questions or would like any further explanation, or if you have your own picture you want to send me to try this with, I'd be glad to help you out. Thanks, and keep in touch.